Welcome to Fireside Knicks. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Brett Hanfling. What a game last night. Knicks trying to blow it. They tried to blow it for us, but end of the day, they walked away with a victory thanks to RJ Barrett and some elite defense down the stretch against DeMar DeRozan. I want to talk about RJ Barrett's performance and really, he showed us something special yesterday, in my opinion. He showed us that he took that year 3 leap. He showed us good offense, good defense, all together, just good two-way play. And I think that's what we've been waiting for from RJ, to put that game together against a quality opponent, undefeated Chicago Bulls team. And now we can sit here and say, let's see some consistency. But I'm excited to discuss this game, Brett. But how you doing today, my friend?
Alex, it is Friday, 10:45, the day after the game. I am just catching my breath from that game. We were up 13 in the fourth quarter. We almost blew it. We pulled off the win. The Knicks are 4-1. Your New York Knickerbockers are in first place in the Eastern Conference. Sort of. We're tied, but whatever the tiebreaker is, I don't know what it is when it's that deep. They have us at first place. So keep posting those screenshots because, it's not, we're not 1-0 at the top of the division. We're 5 games in. We're at the top of the division.
Absolutely. 5 games in, and we're actually leading in a couple of stats. I just wrote an article about 4 statistics that make this team the real deal, right? And they're actually pretty exciting. Basically, we are top 10 in points. We rank 3rd in points, overall points per game. We rank, I think, 4th in blocks, 4th in 3-point attempts per, 5th in 3-point attempts per game, and 4th in 3-point efficiency at 38%. So those are 4 statistics right there that show you we have taken massive leaps forward in terms of just production, efficiency, and it's all coming together against good teams. Now, of course, that Orlando loss is kind of a stain early on in the season, but at the end of the day, I think that it really gave us a wake-up call. It gave the Knicks a wake-up call. I think it was actually ended up being a positive for them. Of course, not on the record.
I wouldn't mind being 5-0, but
of course, no, 5-0 is good. Of course, I'd like to be that too. But I think that game said to them, we need to eliminate all of our vulnerabilities, our liabilities. And I think that being, hustling at 100%, hitting your shots, being team oriented. Don't try to force shots like Julius Randle was in isolation in that game. He was trying to carry the load. He just couldn't do it. What we've seen in the last 2 games is actually really interesting from Julius Randle specifically. His point production has decreased exponentially. He scored just 13 points, but he had 16 rebounds and 9 assists, right? So what we're seeing from him is actually more like point guard play than it is, scoring, facilitating for a power forward. He's facilitating, he's spreading the ball around, he's using the attention that he's getting from opponents, and he's using that as a way to get the ball to his teammates and get good shooting opportunities for them. So he's really being more or less the team floor general on the court instead of being that primary scorer, which I think is a really cool transition he's making to being more of a well-rounded player.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's something he did a lot last year. It's something that as a player, as he's gotten older, he's grown into being capable to be sort of a point forward. Now, Kemba is a good scorer. Derrick Rose is a good scorer. And they're both decent passers, but they're not the pass first type point guard who's going to get you 10 assists a game. And they're both not amazing pick and roll players either. Rose is great at getting to the hole, but kind of on his own. I don't have a problem with Randall being a big part of this offense. Team sent him the double team. Who was it, Philly or the second Orlando game? They were doubling him like crazy. At the end of the first half last night, 2 plays in a row, he dished to Fournier for 3. He's a good passer. He's a willing passer. Sometimes he's got to, sometimes he gets a little away from it. Sometimes he gets a little hero ball because sometimes it works. And then other times, it's sort of the turnovers, the bad shots. And that's more what he was doing 2 years ago when people were getting frustrated by him. But like you said, Randall had a well-balanced game. The clutch, down the line is a little bit of a different factor. I would say 2 games in a row, he struggled to help us close the game. But I just kind of want to talk about the end of the game generally. So the Knicks were up 13. We were cruising. I was feeling good. I was sort of in kickback mode. My guard wasn't up. I was just, watching. At that point, I wanted, to just pour it on. We did not pour it on. We saw this in the opener with Boston. And we saw it again tonight. This team has had issues closing games, two games of the 5 this season. Now, is it an issue or is it just something that happened? The Boston game, I would say, was more of an issue than last night. The Boston game, we were throwing balls away. Kemba wasn't great down the stretch there. Um, Last night, it was kind of just, they didn't hit shots. Fournier got a wide open three. He's been money this season. Randall got an open three. Randall had that putback layup. You could say that maybe he should have brought it back out. I think there were 30, 40 seconds left. RJ had an open mid-range. I'm not that worried. I am and I'm not. I'm not that worried about how we blew it last night because we got good shots. We missed them. At the end of the day, we ended up pulling out the win. So I don't know. Are you worried about the end of the game stretches? It's been a couple already this season.
Yes, I am worried about them. And for one reason specifically, eventually we are going to lose a game because of it. Like, we've been lucky against Boston. We got lucky against the Bulls. Like, this forcing the ball to Julius Randle in isolation as your primary go-to inbounds pass is not working.
Well,
I think
the inbounds pass. The inbounds pass, I'm worried. I mean, if you're an NBA team, you got to be able to get the ball in bounds.
Right, I agree, and I think that Kemba Walker has been a liability in those scenarios. He is careless with the ball. He's done a couple things here and there that I don't agree with, and I think that the Knicks, that finishing off right there, that unit should consist of Emmanuel Quickley, because I think Quickley is fast enough to create space, but he's also an elite free throw shooter. He's like a 90+% free throw shooter. So if you get him the ball, I think that's ideal for him. I really think that getting him on the floor in that scenario is ideal.
That's deep in the game. If you want Quickly, and that's like when they're like ready to foul.
Oh yeah. You're like 5 seconds, like it was last time.
Okay, sure, that's
seconds.
Fair.
Over Kemba, because Kemba just, he loses the ball, he throws it away. I don't really trust him all the time. I love him during the game, and he was killing it from 3-point. I think he was 5 for 6. He had 21 points. He was the highest scorer on the team against the Bulls. But ultimately, I'd like to see a little bit more efficiency. I think Quickly has the speed to get some ground, to get some separation, and get the ball. And if it gets fouled, I trust him at the line. Julius Randle missing 2 free throws, man. Like, that was a huge, huge no-no. You cannot miss 2 free throws in clutch time like that.
I agree, but like, am I worried about it? Like, I don't know. He's a solid free throw shooter. Did he fall in the clutch, or did he miss 2 free throws? I mean, this time,
I think it was clutch. I think he got jitters.
There is some stat. I don't know exactly what it was. Tommy Beer tweeted about Randall's, they call it the clutch moment. It's like the last 2 minutes of the game, like under 6 or 7 points or something. They haven't been good, but it's early in the season. He's been good. I don't see this becoming too big of a problem. Now, it's something to keep an eye on, but I think he is a good enough player. He's a confident enough player that he will figure out the late game struggles.
If he can, he'll be amazing. That's his last piece of the puzzle.
I mean, listen, like we've said this all season, the Knicks are a well-rounded team. They're deep. They have a lot of good players, but the best teams have one guy, maybe 2 guys who they go to in the clutch. You have the Durants and the Steph Currys and Donovan Mitchells and Damian Lillards. The best teams, you don't force it, but the best teams have someone they can rely on. Now, we don't need to rely on Randall most of the game. If he could just step up and be, we're not going to need him as much as, let's say, Portland needs Damian Lillard every time. But if he could just be a little more clutch and rely on him a little bit, that would go a long way. But, some good things. We saw Kemba Walker again. What, he had 5 threes again? Back-to-back games with 5 threes. I tweeted about it. Maybe I was, got a little, buried in the heat of the moment. I said Kemba might be the best shooting point guard the Knicks have ever had. I had some people saying Stephon Marbury, who's a good shooter, and John Starks and Derek Harper. Kemba could flat out shoot the ball. I got another stat. So Elfrid Payton hit 29 threes all last year. Kemba already has 18 through 5 games. Furthermore, the starting backcourt of Kemba and Fournier, you could interchange Fournier and RJ. They fit 14 pull-up threes through 5 games. Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock last year, only 9. It's just a total different level of shot creation with Kemba in the game versus Elfrid Payton. It's night and day.
Kemba, the last two games has looked like an all-star. That he has put together performances that you're like, okay, this is why we went out and got him. The difference between him and Elfrid Payton, like I could write a freaking novel about it. Like it's not even comparable. Defensively, Kemba Walker doesn't offer much. Elfrid Payton's much better in that area, but I will say we don't need the defense right now. We need the offense. The NBA is going toward shooting, 3-point shooting, offensive powerhouses. Like that's where you're going to win games. If you can outscore, you're going to win. And if you have a good enough defense, the Knicks have good defense.
Yeah,
He was fine. He was fine. He's average to below average defensively. He has some moments where he's better than others, but Kemba Walker brings that team, the Knicks team. Like I said before, they rank third or fourth in overall points scored. So that's a direct product of Kemba Walker hitting 5 of 6 3-pointers. And then against the 76ers doing something similar. He hit 3 in a row in the fourth quarter before they went on that cold streak. But, that is what you're getting from him. That's why the Knicks went and got him. And I think having him and balancing him correctly with Derrick Rose to mitigate any fatigue down the stretch is exactly what they're going to do. And I think they're going to get the best version of both players, unless any freak injuries happen, knock on wood. But this team, I've been writing this all the time now because they look really good. If they can start to continue to piece together their defense, play more efficient, play more consistent like RJ Barrett did last night, if they can do that on a nightly basis and maintain their offensive scoring, they're going to be an incredibly hard team to beat.
So that brings me to my star of the night. I've barely mentioned him. RJ Barrett had an awesome game. Let's say 8 of 15, 20 points. Not crazy, but high percentage. And then the defensive end. He said early in the season he wants to make an all defensive team. He was an average defender last year, and he's really improved on it already. So he's gotten stronger. His instincts are there, and he really cares. If his foot speed gets just a tiny bit faster, he has okay foot speed, he could be a really good defender. He made the most important defensive play of the game on DeMar DeRozan. Knicks up 1, Bulls have the ball. They do a fake handoff. DeRozan, with the speed, just crash into the hoop, does his pump fake that he loves to do. RJ stays down. DeRozan honestly traveled. They didn't call it. But because RJ stayed down, DeRozan was sort of out of sorts, went back up. RJ got the contest. Mitch also came over with the contest. And DeRozan airballed it. As a Knicks fan and having PTSD, I thought that ball was going in. But
100%.
It didn't even touch the rim. It was great defense. And, he didn't really score down the stretch that much, but he had some great finishes earlier in the game. And the thing with RJ is because this team is deep and because we have a lot of scorers, there's going to be nights or there's going to be halves where he's not that involved, but he's going to be efficient. He was efficient last night, and he's not forcing it. He's picking and choosing his spots, and he's had 2 really good games in a row.
Yeah, I think he's my all-star of the game too. I mean, that's really the difference in this game is him making that play, him making that one moment count against DeMar DeRozan. And like you said, that is a product of film work. You know what I mean? What he did to watch DeRozan fake that shot and not bite, that is all film work. That is all him looking and saying, I know DeMar DeRozan's getting this ball. If they run this play, I know that he's going to try and fake shoot this. I know he's going to try and get me to leave my feet, try and jump into me, draw a foul, something. And he didn't do it. And I think, having the discipline is a lot more difficult than you think. If I was in that game, if any of us were in that game, even knowing he's going to fake it, I'm saying even knowing he's going to fake it in that moment, it's still hard not to jump. But he did it. He really did a great job of being patient, waiting and noticing what was happening and remembering, I saw this before. I've seen this before in the moment, and like that's that's a really special thing because, I was listening to LeBron James in this cool little, he has a, the Calm app. You ever heard of that?
Yeah,
so LeBron James does a cool little segment on the Calm app, and he tells you all about what he does in big moments. And he's like, you just have to block out everything. Like basically if you're a racehorse and you have the blinders on, you have to only be focused on what's happening at that moment. And he does, and RJ Barrett does that, man. He blocks everything out, the crowd, the noise from Chicago. He's in a hostile environment and he blocks it all out and he stays focused and he knows what he's going to do and he sees it and he acts and he reacts. And that's what really separated him from everybody else in this game. He showed us, he started off the season a little bit slow, but he came out this week and said, I'm confident in myself. I have abilities that, I've been blessed with. I'm going to be fine. I've started out every season slow. I'm going to get better. And he showed us today that if he continues to play like he did against the Bulls, he's gonna be a an all-star caliber player within the next year or two. I truly
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So yeah, 4-1. We have the Pelicans tomorrow, right? Yeah, who's not a great team, and the Raptors. The Knicks have a chance to start this season really special. They need to keep the foot on the pedal. Beat the Pelicans, beat the Raptors, could possibly start the season 6-1. I'm having a great time already. I see the Knicks fan base is having a great time. You could see it, at the games I've been to on Twitter. The fan base down in Orlando. We took over that arena. So I'm pumped for this season. You have anything else, Alex?
I mean, not really, man. Bing bong, hell yeah! I'm really excited about this season. Looking at the Pelicans, of course, Ingram, solid player, 20 points against the Hawks in their loss. Graham at 21. They don't have any depth either. So like, there are teams that just lack a lot of depth. The Bulls are one of them. The Knicks did a really great job just tiring them out, getting into that bench and taking advantage. They almost blew it at the end, but they did a really good job. And I said in our previous episode, the way to beat the Bulls is to tire them out, get to their bench, and make them beat you. And Alex Caruso had a decent game, but ultimately I think they did enough.
Caruso is a really good defender. But one more thing. So if we did this podcast right after the game, I may have been like sort of, we pulled it out, whatever. We got to win. I'm not that happy. With some time, the Knicks are 4-1. If I would have told you that beginning of the season, Bulls are good, man. The Bulls are a solid team. Bulls are a good team. If I would have told you the Knicks were 4-1 before the season, I would have taken that no matter what leads we would have blew. So the fact that like we already have this sort of warped sense is good. It's a good thing. It means that we already have expectations. So the sky's the limit for this team.
I 100% agree. I'm really excited for the rest of the season. We've started out strong. We have a lot to be happy about, a lot to be optimistic about. Of course, seeing Julius Randle and how he's kind of transitioning to becoming more of a passer and facilitator, helping his team out. The depth is fantastic. Derrick Rose and Kemba combo is awesome. I'm really excited about that too. RJ Barrett, the game he showed last night, told us just a little bit about what his future might look like this year. But guys, really, really excited about the rest of the year. Pelicans, not a great team. Let's go destroy them. They were destroyed by both the Bulls and 76ers to open the year. So we know we can beat this team. But guys, hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside Knicks. Make sure to go subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Let's do it. Let's go Knicks, Alex. I'll see you soon.
Let's go.